Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Thank you very much for being here. All of you who are able to participate live, thank you as well for being the co host on this show. This Friday, we are talking about Lovecraftian horror, eldritch horrors, but specifically as it relates to hard science fiction. In the tabletop role playing community and us in the larger geekosphere, love ourselves, love ourselves some eldritch horrors, as it's been known, and combining it with so many other genres is also a very popular thing to do. But one of the critical aspects of Lovecraftian and eldritch horror is that we don't understand it. It is something beyond mortal comprehension, and often either or both comes from under the sea or deep space or other dimensions or something far beyond our reach. But we're going to break apart what Lovecraftian or eldritch horror is, and then we're going to apply it to a little bit of hard sci-fi so that we don't get so much of a fantastical element. Although I will say that there are a number of media that really embrace the aspects of eldritch horror without necessarily bringing it into named Lovecraftian monsters like Cthulhu and Yog-Sothoth or whatever. I can't remember all of them. And also, there is something else that's kind of silly and fun that uh taste here brings up is like, does eldritch horror work on the undead? There's most of the time, if not primarily, whenever we get these fantastical elements in, especially in science fiction, it's usually a one and done, right? It's only eldritch horrors, it's only aliens, it's only vampires. But I wonder, like, do ghosts and vampires believe in aliens? And what would happen if they met each other? Um, it kind of brings up the idea of, like, we love our singular things, but we really don't like to mix them, except in specific genres like what's the game system of Palladium Games and Savage Worlds. Rifts is one. Torg is another one where you get, like, where they specifically mix genres, not just even elements but genres. I think another one's called Maximum Apocalypse, which is a fictional game world in which multiple apocalypses have happened, and the player characters have to live through, like, alien invasions and meteor swarm and pandemic, and it's kind of fun. But anyway, Deadman says, like Cthulhu Tech, literally a sci-fi Lovecraft setting with mechs and spaceships. The publisher Sandstorm Productions made the game with the blessing of Catalyst Games Lab in 2007. Yeah. It's and there's a specific reason why Lovecraftian horror is well regarded in the publishing circle specifically, is because it's in the public domain. So as long as you don't take someone else's rendition of eldritch horror, you can take it directly from Lovecraftian's writings and make up your own. So as long as you don't steal from another publisher and you take it directly from the source, I believe it's a public domain. Hard sci-fi, you can have eldritch horror without eldritch horror. Exactly. A planet creating the conditions for life only to snuff it out 10 minutes later. Yeah. Hell, we kind of do that to ourselves, right? And that's going to be part of the hard sci-fi. Like, some of it we bring upon ourselves because, especially in hard science fiction and science today, we we think that we know more than we do, so therefore the unknown becomes even more horrible when we don't understand it, yet we have so many tools at our disposal to explain what's going on. Either that, or we default back to an old reasoning as the reason for a thing to happen, and we keep getting our head slammed up against, nope, that's not why, nope, that's not why, nope, that's not why. Medicine does that a lot. Medicine is like, oh, you have symptoms, it's probably the 90th percent of what's wrong with you. Oh, that's not it. Okay, well, maybe it's something that only happens to people 75% of the time. Nope, that's not it. And then way at the bottom, the person gets misdiagnosed because they represent the 3% that has this particular rare condition, but they never start with the rare first. It's always um, the most explainable thing. Yeah, Shitlords is an eldritch horror in realism going to be more of a physical being or more of an unseen entity? Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe a little bit of both, I think, especially if our senses are affected. It can really happen, like if it affects our brain chemistry, if it somehow is able to infiltrate our senses, that can be really disruptive. Even if it's able to infiltrate what we use for our senses, telescopes, radars, uh, bioscans, things like that. If we can't trust that and we can't trust our senses, then a lot of times we get pretty scary about things. But we're going to go into some of the details as well, just following some of the your our co-hosts here. Yeah, finding an old settlement or a pilgrim ship drifting emptily. There is a pretty horrific scene as depicted in The Expanse, where the crew of a ship in zero gravity is dead, and you get all the blood and viscera and the bodies floating in zero gravity, and our main characters have to navigate through that, and it's pretty nasty. Yeah, Shice, it's a good question. I've always thought of these monstrous things as physical avatars of the great old ones, who are more like primordial forces of cosmic nature. I don't think you're wrong. I don't. I think they're not supposed to be definable, which is kind of part of the Eldritch horror in the first place. Like, oh yeah, here's this thing we can't define, and you never will. Yeah, Deadman says, yeah, Cthulhu Tech has Eldritch horrors, aliens, and magic. Yeah, absolutely. Um, mm, 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 Nope, I don't want the window. I want this one. Um, just to throw some. Sorry. Throw some Eldritch horror imagery up here. I am so sad. I've never seen anything that drove me insane on first glance. Life is so boring. I, I don't I don't know if you'd want that. Although I suppose it would be life changing to see something that's unexplainable, and how would we react to that? Says an imploding sun as a stand-in for Eldritch horror. Maybe if you don't know why it happened, yeah, or heck, even we often talk in a more less hard sci-fi settings. We talk about like warp space and jump ships and things like that. Maybe the first time, or maybe even perceiving fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional space as you go through a wormhole might, uh, I would say, it is part of that kind of horror, especially if going through that wormhole also, or whether you're siege ships or warp drives or something, get you to travel through dimensions that have other life forms out there that don't relate to time and space the way we normally think of. Yeah, I don't know. Shai says, yeah, cosmic rays, like gamma rays, space radiation. Could this all be real life eldritch horror? There is a mode of thought that maybe dark matter and dark energy kind of is in that point. Yeah, yeah. I think the radiation part is pretty scary too. Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. I mean, we don't you can't see the radiation, you can kind of detect it, and it's going into your body, and you know what's happening to you as it starts killing off your cells and mutating them, but you can't see it. So, yeah. Yeah, Drew says, personally, my favorite eldritch deity predates Lovecraft. Hastor, or how I usually spell it, Hester, which would be a great name for like a computer program. And Deadman knows that there are real. Okay, in the role playing game Eclipse Phase, which is post human transhumanism, it really embraces the idea of something known as a basilisk hack, and it's a real thing where your brain can be hacked by seeing imagery that invades your brain and then changes your brain chemistry and neurological pathways. And Written a little bit larger in Eclipse Phase, a Basilisk hack is a computer program that can hack the computer components in the player's brains because they have cortical stacks and backup brains, zippers, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty. I think that constitutes the same thing as Eldritch Horror as well. Event Horizon. Oh hell yeah, Event Horizon, and another one that wasn't necessarily as horrible, known as Sphere. Definitely Event Horizon was absolutely Eldritch Horror. Sphere was more scientific discovery that besieged the crew. Event Horizon was deep space. Sphere was deep ocean, and each had their, you don't want to look into the face of something that's the unknown. And in Sphere, it actually released the subconscious of the crew. And eventually they realized that it was the crew themselves that was creating the horrors. But even that, even releasing your making physical your subconscious is pretty horrible as well. So yeah, but yeah, Event Horizon probably one of the first, but yeah, definitely. The End King says Eldritch Horror is usually a problem of perception. The Cenobites are helping us, but they are violating our every value and triggering our sense of danger in every way. So is it evil to us? Exactly. Maybe not. So what are the? So let's talk about the themes. And this is given to us by Lovecraft himself, H.P. Lovecraft, and uh, edited down into Wikipedia. So it may or may not be correct, but let's see what they have to say. So the core themes of the core themes and atmosphere of cosmic horror were laid out by Lovecraft himself in Supernatural Horror in Literature. And his essay on Gothic, weird, and horror fiction, a number of characteristics, wow, have been identified as being associated with Lovecraftian horror. Okay, so here they go. Fear of the unknown and unknowable, the fear and awe we feel when confronted by phenomena beyond our comprehension, whose scope extends beyond the narrow field of human affairs and boasts of cosmic significance. Um, this is horror that derives from the realization that human interests, desires, laws, and morality have no meaning or significance in the universe at large. Another part of this theme is a contemplation of mankind's place in the vast, comfortless universe revealed by modern science, in which the horror springs from the discovery of appalling truth. Another feature is a naturalistic fusion of horror and science fiction in which presumptions about the nature of reality are eroded. And there's three more. The technological and social progress since classical times have facilitated the repression of an awareness of the magnitude and malignity of the macrocosm. In other words, science and advancement has repressed our ability to perceive these things, and so that ancient peoples had a greater knowledge or intuition to sense these things, and that technology has actually been preventing us from seeing and understanding these things. Having protagonists who are helpless in the face of unfathomable and inescapable powers, which reduce humans from a privileged position to insignificance and incompetence. And lastly, preoccupation with viscera textures, protein, semi gelatinous substances, and slime, as opposed to other elements such as blood, bones, or corpses. Although I would add into this a whole lot of a whole lot of tentacles. And I would say there's probably a lot more body horror than things such as like blood, bones, and corpses. I would say for me, the body horror are human limbs and organs and body parts in positions they shouldn't be. If you want to go for a more for a more physical part of it. Yeah, Tastemaker says, "Oh man, Event Horizon, was that not just hell? Is there anything eldritch about regular old hell? I would think so. I would think the hell would be the incomprehensible nature of it, as opposed to just a big pit that's on fire which we often, the brimstone, the fire, things like that. Ooh. Drew brings up weird mental states in films. Why not mention Solaris? Yeah, yeah. I think the being driven insane in space kind of fits into it because currently that's something with our current science we haven't been able to solve. We don't know. Um, I contend that all of us are on the spectrum at any given time in our lives, constantly, and all of us fear the other person going insane and trusting that they won't go insane, or that if they do, you'll have a warning. And even today, especially here in the States, as examples that so-called normals and sane people do what we consider to be unexplainable, the insane. As a matter of fact, that's how we describe people that do things that are irregular. They were just crazy. And it's like, well, you probably would be the same way given the right conditions. So I think the idea of mental states absolutely is Lovecraftian eldritch horror in the most basic sense to your average citizen, right? None of us want to go to work with such stress that one of our coworkers is going to break one day, come in and take out their aggression and their hopelessness and such on everybody else. So I would say that it's a real life thing, but yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's doubly a shame because none of us think that we could be victims of that or suffer from that or be harmed. Yet we see examples of it all the time, constantly, even to ourselves. What is your mental state when you're hungry or bored or stressed or exhausted or ill? And that's getting pretty close to it. So Event Horizon, they saw something so insane it literally made them rip their eyes out, but they could still see it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Heck, I would dare say there are people today that are exposed to things that I bet they wish they could get out of their mind's eye, because even when they close their eyes, they still see it. So yeah. Taste but I agree with you. Yeah, Solaris is good. Tarkovsky was all about weird states of mind and existential of philosophizing. Stalker 2. I haven't seen that one. I've heard a lot about it. That was kind of eldritch, but on Earth. Yep. Tentacles ensure success on the East Asian market. Yeah, shit lords. Yeah. Yeah, and not always horrible. It is very well mixed with, what is it, hentai or something? Yeah. But yeah, yeah, see, really, Drew? But tentacles are sexy. The moist, the better. There, and there's something about tentacles, I think, because it tentacles are a limb that is as alien as possible to us. I think insect limbs also, but tentacles also are kind of related to like residue with the oiliness and and such, and dare I say, viscous bodily fluids mixed together like that always, I think, is a thing that creeps many people out. Um, and when we see human beings haphazardly release their bodily fluids and don't have a social don't socially curtail those things and kind of spread that stuff around, especially to other people. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. And I'm it sounds dirty, but if you just talk about like mucus or like pus or spit and all that kind of stuff, and that's just uh tears, all that kind of, yeah, and then you go other areas on the human body. As a matter of fact, how many times have we seen and this isn't necessarily eldritch horror, but it does go to a very human concept. How many times have we seen um panic and a character being distraught on television in a movie, and what do? We hyper focus the camera on their hands because they have blood on their hands. It's in a place where we shouldn't see it. And many times when our characters rush television movies, they get rushed to the hospital, and we see them left in the middle of the hospital floor, and they look down and they have like blood on a very white-ish, purish type of outfit. They look down on their hands, and then they try to wash it off their hands in a panic. Very visual shorthand, and I think that's just that idea writ large is something that happens very much so. Yeah, going postal in space, and Cleveland is like space, right? Close to it. Mistake on the lake. Yeah, it's Cleveland. I'm in central Ohio, but yeah, it's only 2 hours away. Less than. Yeah, on the spectrum, but too scared to get diagnosed. Maybe that's for everyone. Shai says, is the eldritch horror element of Obsidian going to be you end up with eyes all over your body through transhuman modification? It's pretty nasty. I don't think, I really don't like eyes and mouths in places they shouldn't be. Right? We have a skull for a reason, people. Put two eyes in a mouth where they don't make the mouth bigger, and don't get rid of the eyes. Don't put the eyes in the palms of the hands. Please don't do that. Don't have the eyes all over someone's arm and shoulder with the mouth filled with like razor sharp teeth that where the jaw can unhinge and it goes all the way up into the forehead. I hate that stuff. Yeah, Shai says, I still can't believe tentacle prawn is yet real, not just made up by nerds on the interwebs. The very existence of it gives credence to stereotypes about Japanese being closet pervs. Which is true. It is a subgenre of a thing that's very popular. As a matter of fact, there are people who take very popular PG and PG-13 cartoons and turn them into into those things. So, yeah, yeah. And I hate those kinds of stereotypes, but sometimes they do manifest themselves in real life. Yeah, 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 yeah. You ain't wrong. Steve Albini was freaked out by hentai too. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't. It's really weird because I think it's our fascination with violation, and it just happens to be very public. But I believe there. I mean, listen, the human body has a lot of holes in it. How horrible is it for foreign objects or living things to enter into those holes? And I'm talking about the nose and the tear ducts and the ear and the mouth. I mean, um, the alien face hugger. Um, the the alien face hugger was created by H.R. Geiger specifically because he wanted something that could violate. This is horrible to describe because YouTube's going to smash it. It was he wanted to create a violation of people that wasn't just related to the female species, but could have the same penetrative violation of the human body. And if you look at it, the face hugger, from what I understand in a it was an article was written and said that the face hugger is made up of people's fingers and both male and female genitalia mixed together and then given a form, and that's pretty horrible. Yeah, Drew says the blood stain on the wedding dress is classic, most recently seen in the Fallout TV show. Oh yeah, and I've been watching. I'm episode 5, 6 now. 5. I just finished 5 for Fallout, and you're absolutely right. How many times have we seen the blood stain on the pure, right? And that's like the wedding dress represents that. And you know when you get to see like the muddy edge of the wedding dress, the blood stain off on the side, the hands where you get the blood caked into the fingertips and things like that. It freaks us out. It's pretty. Some species of butterfly don't have mouths, so they fly around until they starve to death. Really? And how do they really? How do they live? Everybody reading hentai on the subway in front of everyone was what freaked them out so much. It was socially acceptable there to read tentacle porn in public. Oh, about Steve Albini. Okay. It led to the unfortunate name of his second band. Really? Really? That's funny. That's hilarious. Wow. Well, yeah, yeah. Their life was a xenomorph and Geiger's art not akin to the popularity. I guess, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there is a fascination with it, right? I mean, the alien xenomorph itself holds fascination to us. I wish there wasn't an explanation for a lot of that stuff. Tentacle hentai originally had been consensual, based on an old Japanese tale of a woman getting pleasure out of an octopus. Really? Yeah. There is a there's an element of what's the term called? Consensual, not non-consensual, where you consent to being. It is a practice in which there's a real life practice in which you consent to being someone who is not consenting, and some people enjoy it. Next week we talk about the Fallout show. Okay, then let's do that. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh wow. Yeah, yeah, shit lords. Yeah. There's a ton of different things like that. Yeah. And King says, yeah, they eat caterpillars, but when they eventually evolve into butterflies, they're in the last stages of their lives. Okay, okay. So they fly to a certain place and die there. Imagine humans evolving. There are a number of, if humans could evolve past our current age, what would we become if we could live past, if we kept aging like elderly, but we kept evolving. And there's some speculative fiction about that, about like us our us becoming elderly. We think it's the end stage of a life, but it's actually a transformative stage to go further, and that we haven't been able to reach that, and then we start to transform. Yeah, yeah, pretty crazy. So, hard science fiction. So let's start coming up with some ideas for hard science fiction, and I think a lot of it is what you guys absolutely said, that a lot of this really has to deal with perception of a thing, and not knowing. And it can be a little bit of a cop out for tabletop role playing games, but the unknowable, and to know that there is something that you will never know the end part of it, the secret of a thing, is horrible unto itself. So the first part is, my character is laid out with a ton of sensors and things all over my body, and I still don't understand what it is. I go back to an old, before memes were a meme, I used to make fun of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and in TNG, whenever they would ask Geordi, and of course Geordi had the cybernetic eye things, they'd always ask Geordi, hey Geordi, person who has the ability to uniquely see into other spectrums of light and energy and perception, what do you see? And his response is always, well, I'm not quite sure, Captain. And I'm like, thanks, Geordi, for not giving us anything, right? And of course, it was shorthand, much like Worf getting his ass kicked. It was a shorthand for, despite the fact that Geordi didn't more often than not did not understand what he was seeing, was shorthand for, here's the person who is the most capable individual in the crew, and even they don't know what's going on. So we do have ourselves a true mystery. And in the actual Cthulhu games, how to explain this? There's an acceptance amongst the population of fans of the Cthulhu games that we can temporarily stop the Lovecraftian horror from escaping into the world, but you're never going to win, right? It's never punch the bad guy in the throat. It's always, yeah, I don't need to be faster than you from running from the horror. I just I don't need to be the fastest. I just need to be faster than you. And it's more of a competition of how long can my character survive, because the exception the concept is, oh no, my character's going to die at some point. It's just how long can I keep them alive in the face of these horrors. And a lot of times those horrors are not just physical, they're mental as well, which is why they have a sanity track. I suppose you could change that sanity track to like stress and things like that, but yep. Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And some people have strange, you guys talking here in the chat. You some There are some people who have some strange desires, and yeah, yeah, based on the old tale. I think I remember hearing something about that. I didn't know for certain. That woodcut of the lady getting, yeah, from an octopus was pretty classy. The artistically, I mean, it was nothing like hentai. Yep, yep, yep. And also, it's I think probably it falls in line with, there's something about eldritch horror that encompasses our base horror. So what I mean by that is, dragons, it is theorized that dragons themselves, why dragons exist in so many cultures, is because a dragon represents some of our base fears about predators, our base fears of birds, insects, felines, canines, scaled animals that don't have the same, they don't display the same fears and desires that more warm-blooded mammals have. And when you combine it all together, a thing that can fly, a thing that can um, infect you, because many early dragons could either hypnotize you, or they were poisonous, or they had some kind of like stinger tail or something. Um, Dragons represented the purity of our most evil desires, like greed and anger and vengeance and jealousy and envy. And so, yeah, yeah. Deadman says, "Look, Jordy LaForge didn't see images; he saw information." And yeah, well, yeah. Technically, we all see information, because the theory is that we all don't perceive what we perceive. We actually perceive the information of what we perceive, which is really weird. Yeah. And King says, "How many of us have uploaded this video?" I don't know. Maybe the moist tentacle has to grab one's hand and place the finger upon upon the thing, like, right? Yeah, the octopus is a sentient being in the tail, like many creatures in Japanese folklore. And you know, octopus squids seem strange because they have so many limbs, and how do they control them, and what are they doing when they do such a thing? And even today, we kind of look at them. There, there's a whole subgenre of, are octopi and squids and things with tentacles, are they the closest thing to aliens on Earth, simply because of their biology and their brain structure and things like that? Or are they our own ancient aliens, even though they're born here? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Shice is sad that he took it to extremes. Yeah, the original looked pretty friendly, even though it was effectively bestiality. It still exists. Ugh, it still exists. So, I think the first step to embracing eldritch horrors in hard science fiction is our ability to perceive or not perceive a thing. So, hearing voices, having sensors that operate differently, having things recorded that we haven't seen, or seeing something that never gets recorded, or only one person sees a thing but somebody else sees something else, or having, and here we go with a little bit more of the less body horror but more mind horror, is having a memory or not having a memory that the other people around you have the opposite view of the thing. So an example would be, "Hey, crew, don't you remember the ghostly figure that walked through our starship?" And everyone's like, "No, we were standing right next to you. There wasn't one." And you're like, "No, but you were standing right there and you did this." And everyone's looking around and you're like, "No." That is a very common non-Lovecraftian but disruptive thing, that technique used in thriller movies, where a character remembers one character has a different experience than everyone around them, and their experience is discounted because of everyone around them. So either that character doesn't remember a thing and everyone else is like, yeah, right. Or that character does remember a thing and no one acknowledges it. Like the first one that comes to mind is like a Jodie Foster thriller movie. I think it's Jodie Foster. When she's like on a plane with her child and her child is missing on the plane, and everyone's just like, there wasn't a child with you. And she's like, you had a conversation with me and my child sitting next to me. They're like, no, no, no. That is, I think that falls into that same category. There was another movie that sucked. Julianne Moore, the forgotten, the forgettables, something like that, where people randomly things would change in their apartment, in their household, and their friends and family would start disappearing, and they'd have people that they knew for years would just not exist any longer, and they were walking around, and other people they trusted who they wanted to confirm their experiences was just like, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, that was your coworker. You lived in the apartment next door. Nope. Shice says, come to think of it, was there anything even remotely sexual in Lovecraft's entire universe? I don't believe so. If I'm not an expert on this, so somebody else find that out. I don't believe so. Although, and Drew, you're absolutely correct. It was a poor man's gaslighting. Yeah, yeah. The poor man's eldritch horror. Yes. It now, mind you, all the execution of that of the I remember a thing and everyone around me is gaslighting me and saying they don't remember a thing. The executions are, some of them are subpar because you can kind of see through it, but yes, gaslighting is kind of falls into that category. I mean, think about it. It would be like leaving the place you live and coming back and finding out all your furniture is different, and you're in photographs with people you've never seen before and things like that. And I think the mental part of the eldritch horror fits into that. So we do have sensors, our perceptions, our memories of a thing. I think that falls into it. And then the physical part, you guys mentioned radiation. Hunt mentioned radiation and it's seeping into your body. Anything that's an infestation, insects, oozes, bacteria, viruses. Any Was it The Forgotten? Thank you, dear dead man. Forgotten, the Julianne Moore movie, which great premise, horrible execution, absolutely horrible. But the premise of a person who believes a thing and then is told that the thing doesn't exist and they're trying to uncover why the thing, yeah, I thought it was a great idea. But like I said, but even the imagery was really great too. But I also think anything that can infest the body. As a matter of fact, one of the individuals who on and off has uh been on this channel, Vince Shine, has designed a game known as the Infestation, in which you play your character is an infestation, um, an alien parasite, an insect, or an ooze, or a bacteria, or something like that that infests into a person's body, and your body is something that you puppet to get a thing done. And the various puppets that you have are willing or sometimes unwilling, uh, bio biomechs, I guess you could call them, and an alien species that has to like infect or crawl up inside someone's nose or ear or something to get a thing done, even if it's still on the outside, like a face hugger, right? um we've seen face huggerism. If I can make that a word, we've seen face huggerisms in lots of alien style movies, right? The octopoid thing that sits on the back of the head with the tentacles reaching into the ears and nose and mouth, or the insect. The Matrix had this inside of it, where a insect was placed over the belly button of our main character Neo, and he thought it was a dream. And then later on, he's in that really cool classic car, I think is a Lincoln with the suicide doors. But anyway, he's in the Lincoln and they're using a device to go capture the bug that's inside of him. And they extract the living bug out of him and they toss it in the street. And it was like a physical bug with a little beep on it. But the whole point was, um, yeah, that kind of horror for player characters, I think, um, sets up great tension because there might be a time limit. Hey, we know through our scans or something that the thing that just crawled inside of your open wound or crawled in your belly button or crawled into your ear, you have 48 hours. You have 7 hours before it starts eating little bits and pieces of your brain. As a matter of fact, in Obsidian Star, we have the natural language hit point system. It's not really what it's called. Oh, we have the gear and baggage system, and every one of your positive traits is one of your hit points, if you want to be very blunt about it. So a character could be infested and you keep losing one of your traits, whether you're strong or quick or acrobatic or whatever. And every time the ticking time clock, the time bomb, the as the orbit comes close, as the clock keeps ticking, like in Blades in the Dark, it could very well be something like that infests a player character. And I think um, if we go less than that and talk about like poisons and disease, um, the tabletop role playing games have been horrible in their depiction of poisons and diseases. I feel like a poison would be better done over a longer period of time than a save to set and forget. And I know why they did it that way, because they don't want permanent harm and damage. But making a saving throw every 10 minutes or every half hour or every day until your character dies is actually kind of cool. Because then you have the impetus to, like, oh, we need a cure for this thing because this disease is running rampant, or this alien or insectoid infestation in my arm is going to spread, as blah blah blah. um as someone who basically feels not at home in my body, this sensation of a biohack is just another Tuesday for me. Okay. Biohacking actually is kind of cool. Shitlord says, dude, Lovecraft was too much of a prude for that. Okay. It's what made him so. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's what made him so insane. Lack of drove the man mad. I'm not even. Punani? Drove the man insane. Yeah, yeah, that has a lot to do with it too. I mean, there's a little bit of a what I wonder if there is a niche of the incel population that has a fetish that is not reciprocated by others, and therefore they feel ostracized because of the tentacled like kind of thing and other things. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Starro, a DC Universe villain, yeah, that could reproduce and take over anything his offspring came into contact with. Starro, that's a good image here. Starro. Let's see. Let's see. DC. See if I can get some images here of Starro, because Starro was a, and I'm sure Starro was a not too a not too subtle theft of the face hugger thing. But yes, Starro very much, starfish covering a person's face. Here, let's see if we can find. Here we go. We'll do this one. We'll try to make this one a little bit bigger. Here are DC heroes: Superman, Green Lantern, The Flash, Batman in the background, Hawkman, and oh, one of my favorite characters, and I can't even remember his name. Um, they're in the background, covered with a star from the villain Starro, and was used in uh, actually had some soft feelings for one of the Suicide Squad movies. I think it was just called Suicide Squad instead of without the if that makes sense. Any really good ones? That's pretty nasty. Small child wrapped with a star and carrying another one to place it upon the face of a person. Yeah, and you kind of wonder, like, what's the mouth doing with a freaky eyeball? But anyway, yeah, 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 yeah. Some recent writers and artists have like really taken that damn character design and going really far with it. Yeah, shitlord says more than just being not being able to get laid. He never left the house and ate nothing but candy all day. Yeah, yeah. And like I said the other day too, right? Like he kind of whether he was a elitist or not, he portrayed his worlds in which uh it reinforced that mentality. So I really don't particularly like that at all. But I mean, yeah, yes, was it of the time? Of course it was, but whatever. Now, further into hard science fiction, I think scientific experiments going wrong is always a great go-to. It's easy, and yes, it's common, but let's be honest, scientific experimentation that goes wrong is it's a staple of humanity. And so a growth, a disease, a biological mistake, a an AI system, anything that is we haven't quite understood, that has some kind of ambulatory mechanism to it and has a mind of its own that we don't understand is always eldritch horror. So when I say an AI system, that AI system might be a PCM, paperclip maximizer, and a paperclip maximizer is the digital and physical representation of an eldritch horror, right? I mean, we may understand what it's doing. What we don't understand is its conviction in getting it done. A a PCM, a paperclip maximizer, is the theory that the danger of AI is you program a machine to make paperclips, and the machine uh, maximizes its ability to do so by spreading itself through other data forms to eliminate humanity and dismantle the earth itself and eventually the sun for no other purpose than to create paperclips. And the danger of the paperclip maximizer is that it ignores humanity as nothing more than an obstacle in its way. And eldritch horror is very much like, oh, we're not evil. It's just humans are bugs. Humans are in the way of getting something else done in a mission in which we don't understand and we probably will never understand. So thinking of humanity um, as like scum that needs to be like bleached off the surface of the earth because it's spreading like we're a biological plague, like nothing so much as gnats, is pretty horrible as well. Like we like to consider ourselves to be the center of the universe. As a matter of fact, we are often surrounded by people who consider themselves to be the center of the universe. And to Star of the Conqueror. Now did Star of the Conqueror? He says it created in 1960s. The facehugger was created in the 80s. Do you think that was Star of the Conqueror doing the whole face hugging thing in the 60s, or was it just a big giant starfish? If I'm not mistaken, because you are correct, Dead Man. I am wrong, but I was just wondering. Like maybe it's just I'm considering recent creators who've made Starro pretty horrible. And I remember back in the olden days, in the 80s and 90s, the comic books, that a lot of those were pretty four color. Like they weren't horrible in the sense of like freaking you out. It was like, hey guys, let's team together and blast the thing into space or something. So, yeah. Yeah, it was created in '79. Maybe even before that, and I would say maybe H.R. Geiger probably had that in existence before then, and just happened to be part of the movie because I'm sure his artwork existed before then. So yeah, 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 could have been influenced by it as well. I mean, or what is it called, parallel development, that everyone has may not things may not be singular because as human beings we do parallel development. So I would see that as well. Drew says, I personally prefer scientists abusing their power over science going wrong on their own, since I don't like the fear mongering towards science itself. I'm with you. I feel like science is neutral. It's what we do with it that's horrible. So yeah, scientists abusing their power, or what's the blending of it? The science, there's always the trope of the scientists being disrespected, and the scientists feeling that if we take more steps, we can solve a problem, but being prevented from making those steps because of money or privilege or security or um, being perceived as not being as smart as they are. And then the scientist is like, I'm going to experiment, use this on myself first, and then something goes wrong. But there's also like safety protocols, like, hey, we're reaching a tipping point in this science. Maybe we should be more careful. And then there's always a scientist like, nope, I'm going to flip the little plastic thing and hit the red button. And so that happens as well. And that's tropish. That's very tropish, right? Yeah, Drew says, I am the center of the universe when I walk the planet. It gets turned under my feet. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like a scrolling video game that where the main character stays still, the world just revolves underneath their feet. Yeah, I mean, no matter where I go, I am always there, so I must be the center. Yep. I freak people out sometimes with people who aren't very intelligent. I'm like, you know what? Everywhere you go, there you are. Yeah. Start always hugged faces. Oh, Starro always hugged faces, but you could just pull them off before. Fund the spell check. Yeah, I got what you were saying. Yeah, you were saying. I absolutely understood what you were doing. Yeah, I don't blame you guys for that. Yeah, fuck you, spell check. Yeah, I told you. You have two options. It's FK, or you could do the PHUQ. Fund you, spell check. Fund you. You mother father. Oh man. Oh, so anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. One of the Now it is possible for those who like answers. It is possible to have an answer for a thing. It could just be that the answer that the player characters are looking for is something that requires their um access to a thing that just isn't possible. So an example would be hard science fiction. They're colonists. They go to planet. They find something that is the equivalent of an eldritch horror, a living life form. What's the movie? There's a movie called Life, and there's an alien in it named Calvin. Yes, that's not the alien's name. The alien is zero gravity, half tentacled, half plant frond looking face hugger type of thing. And in a movie like it, and I think it's on Amazon Prime for free for us in the States. But anyway, relatively good hard sci-fi movie, to be honest with you, um, except for Calvin. And even the effects in the movie were pretty good. And of course, it had the movie Life. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. Life movie. Nope, nope, nope. Sci-fi. There we go. And oops. Boom, boom, boom. And in the movie Life, there was an alien creature, and it could be that there's more of an answer to a thing than we realize. So what I mean by that is the players come upon a life form that tries to terrorize the crew of a starship, and there's no answer to where it came from, why it wants to be there, that kind of thing. Then we later find out that it could be a pet. It could have been an accident from an earlier colonial thing. It could have been maybe the aliens that lived on this planet were very peaceful, and the colonists eliminated the life that was there. And this is the first shot in a war. You could come up with many reasons that the players will eventually discover, or as many things happen in Eldritch Horror, they never find out except at the all the crew gets destroyed, but let's see. Calvin. Let's see if we can find some images of Calvin. It's hard to find images of Calvin because Calvin is a little bit translucent. Let's see if we got a good one here. Calvin. It's hard. Mm, Someone drew some pictures on Pinterest. Maybe that's the closest thing to it. I mean, a lot of it is kind of dark. Calvin has like tentacled tails and kind of two arm like wings, and then a face that opens up that's a little bit insectoid, fish slash insectoid. Concept art world, maybe. You really can't. In the movie, okay, here we go. This is a little bit better. In the movie, they do give you a full bodied image of it, and it does get pretty big, maybe half the size of a human being, but it's hard to describe it because of its like tentacled nature or something like that. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. We will talk about Fallout and maybe we'll throw in some other post-apocalyptic elements in it. I do like a little bit of the tongue-in-cheek nature of Fallout. I've never played the games, so I'm a newbie to that. So I really appreciate that as well. But yeah, we'll get into that. I want to talk about Fallout, and maybe I know it's a little bit past its time because it's coming towards the end. It's wrapping itself up, but Shogun is a great show as well. But definitely Fallout. I'm having some fun with our main characters. There's some there's some a bit of body horror in the movie in the television show as well in Fallout, which I'm having some fun with as well. Yeah. This was a groundbreaking topic. People will love it. Uh I thanks for the sarcasm. I appreciate it. but in all honesty, I really do like despite the fact I don't like the creator, uh from the point of view of their literary writing, I do love Lovecraftian horror and eldritch horror, and it doesn't bother me to not know a thing. And I think we're a little bit too brilliant for our own good in the tabletop community, which is why I think, despite the love for eldritch horror and Cthulhu and all the what is it like Cthulhu's up to like the seventh generation. There's so many divergent parts in the Cthulhu horror role playing games that exist. As a matter of fact, in um, my influence as being a freelance writer for Critical Hit Publishing has released a number of things within the um, oh Miskatonic University on Drive Through RPG. These are different types of adventures for. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to do this. Drive through RPG. I'm going to actually go there and show you guys stuff produced under. I'm going to have to log in. I guess I could log in under my thing, and I'll show you guys what is available. Let's see. Let's bring this up here, and we're going to share this tab instead. We gonna log in, and we're gonna type in. Let's see, Critical Hit Publishing, and see what we have here. So, not Critical Hit. There it is, Critical Hit Publishing. Let's get to some of the. So all I part of all of these designs? No, but the cinematic environs part of Critical Hit Publishing was my big thing. But let's get into. Let's see if we can find some of the eldritch horror stuff that is here. Boop boop boo. Doo 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 doo. Let's see, Miskatonic. No, let's go directly to Critical Hit Publishing. Mhm. So all these cinematic environs were written by me. They were edited and laid out by Alex and Rob, and with additions to that. And but down here, the CSS Orpheus is and Highway of Blood and the King in Yellow and let's see, cinematic environs. Ooh, special collection bundle. Ooh, cool, 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 cool. The pipeline here. What else is on the? Can I find under the Miskatonic? Come on, unexpected encounters. Bunch of shit. That's as far as it goes. Hmm. Hmm. I'm going to answer a question here because didn't realize that it was here. Is it a bundle? Highway of Blood. So, if you're someone who loves Call of Cthulhu, you would definitely love this. Oh yeah, okay, okay. It's a bundle. Yep, aerial reaches, aquatic depths, Arctic. Yep, 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 yep. Arctic lands, blasted lands. No, Arctic lands, blasted lands, desert wastes. Why did I call it that? Mountains, plains and grasslands, survival, wetlands. There's still two more in there. So anyway, sorry about that. It's a little bit of a plug for myself. Sorry. I hadn't checked it in a while. Yeah, hadn't checked it. Well, Fallout is excellent. Says, why do you think that was sarcastic? Oh well, why do I think it's sarcastic? I don't know. I'm self-deprecating, I guess. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, we can accept that great artists are always fucking crazy. I agree with that. Yeah, we could do this. Yeah, Anon says, yeah. To be fair, Lovecraft was xenophobic to humanity in general. I agree. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm with you there, Caligulus. Yeah, madness is a consequence of existence in its banality. Yeah, you don't have to pick a particular group to focus some of your madness at, but whatever. And it could be, like I said, it could be that he didn't believe that, but his fans believe that. It played to the fans. Give them what they want. Mm-mm-mm. I agree with you there, Anon. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Sorry about bringing up this the cinematic environments thing, but I will say that eh, we we decided we um Alex and Rob decided to go in a different direction with some of the Cthulhu esque adventures, and let's see, Highway of Blood. Oops. And decided to do a little bit more genre created kind of thing. So in Highway of Blood, instead of playing like investigators, investigators investigating the eldritch horrors that might be happening or something, instead in a Highway of Blood, you play basically 1970s hippies basically driving across western Texas in a muscle car headed to nowhere particularly important. Same thing with like this release here. The Grindhouse is a double feature known as the Dark Brood and Jackknife, and this is like more slasher B movie style Call of Cthulhu, where you play regular folks. Um, Even Viral. Here's another release from Critical Hit Publishing. Even Viral is more of like a pandemicized version rather than a traditional. We're uncovering little elements of Cthulhu and such. Yep, yep, yep. So yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty much what the idea of of embracing the like 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and slasher films and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. I don't know that. I don't know that for a fact whether he had fans. Like Van Gogh and Beethoven and all the greats. Yeah, did he even have fans who became famous later? Ooh, that's right. Maybe I should have looked that up. So anyway, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much as well for this being here. We will, yeah, embrace the slashers. All right, Fangster. Yeah. All right, extra long molar. I don't know, canines, whatever you call it. Oh man. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. And we'll be back here 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, definitely talking about Fallout and maybe post-apocalypse and how they, despite the tongue-in-cheek nature of the show, how different sects of society are able to exist in this world, and the lies they tell each other, and different groups that have been isolated coming together. I think it's kind of cool. So, guys, have a great one. I will see you later. Peace and tranquility. Bye.